so I'm pretty behind on movies I wanted to review over the past couple of months. And since the latter half of March is going to be packed with stuff I want to talk about, I figured I would go ahead and talk about these movies in one video rather than making a video in this new format for each one. That way I won't be even more behind when those other films come out. So that means it's time for a multi-review! I won't be going too in-depth. This is just going to be my quick thoughts on each film in a couple of paragraphs or so. First up is Black Panther. I know people are probably a bit disappointed that I didn't have a review out for this in time, since I have covered every MCU film since Winter Soldier. Though to be honest, while I do like covering them, talking about live-action movies on this channel just doesn't garner as much views as when I talk about something animated. That's just the truth. That's partly why I'm doing this multi-review with most of the films being live-action. Black Panther, though, was a very enjoyable Marvel outing. I really liked T'Challa in Civil War, and was glad to see that they went right into how he was becoming the next king of Wakanda. However, he wasn't really the most interesting character in the movie. A lot of the side characters and the villain of Killmonger in particular were just a lot more intriguing. A couple of gripes I had with Black Panther was some of the CG just didn't look that great, and I was actually very disappointed with the fight scenes. Coming from the guy that directed Creed, I was expecting something a lot more, I guess. There's also that one meme that made me cringe in my seat. If you've seen the movie, you know the one. Adding stuff like that is just going to make the movie feel really dated as time goes on. Overall, I really enjoyed Black Panther. I don't think it's the most incredible Marvel film, but I would definitely put it in the upper half of them in terms of quality. Annihilation. This was a sci-fi film that came out of nowhere for me. I saw the trailer for it back in December and was immediately interested. It's from the same guy that did Ex Machina, which I really liked. This movie, however, while a lot of critics liked it, I found that a lot of audiences just don't get it. That's not to say if you don't get this movie, you're dumb or whatever, but maybe there was a bit of mixed messaging with the marketing for it. Annihilation is a very slow-burning, quiet, and mysterious sci-fi film. It has you follow these scientists into something that is completely unknown to them and the audience. The world inside of the Shimmer, as they call it, is constantly changing. It keeps you guessing on what is going on and whether or not what the characters are seeing is real. It's a very weird movie. It's based on the first book in a trilogy of sci-fi novels. I might actually try reading them at some point because the premise is very different and something I haven't really seen before. I'm not sure if Annihilation is an instant classic as some critics have called it, but it definitely made me think and reminisce about my biology classes in college. Cloverfield Paradox. Now on to a very different kind of sci-fi film. Cloverfield Paradox was announced the night of the Super Bowl, the big game, and was available to watch on Netflix the same night. I watched it the day after with my friend Jaxblade, and after that, I was a little more positive than most people. I thought it was just a fun little sci-fi thriller. But now, after looking back, yeah, it was kinda dumb. It's also very evident that it wasn't originally a Cloverfield movie. There's a lot of crappy sci-fi movies on Netflix, so this would have probably been lost in those if it didn't have the Cloverfield name attached to it. Cloverfield Paradox is supposedly a prequel to the events of the first Cloverfield movie. These scientists on a space station are trying this experiment to get unlimited energy or something. But then something goes wrong and they're no longer anywhere near Earth, and crazy things start happening on the station. While watching it, I started to realize, hey, I've seen this before. This is Half-Life. I don't think the movie is complete sci-fi schlock. I've definitely seen worse. But this is pretty dumb. Paddington 2. Paddington 2 is the sequel to the critically acclaimed first film, and it's really just as good. It explores a few more antics based on the books, and the plot revolves around Paddington being caught stealing red-handed and being sent to prison. During the beginning of the film, I thought this was going to be more of a slice-of-life type movie, which I would have been fine with. Seeing Paddington do all those different jobs was very enjoyable. There's some kind of charm and delightfulness to Paddington that's kind of hard to describe. That's probably why both films got such positive reviews. You can tell the actors and even the people behind the scenes were probably having a blast making this movie. That shows in a lot of the camera work and scene transitions too. They get pretty creative. It's really hard to say anything bad about Paddington. The character exudes such positivity, even in the most hopeless of situations. If anything, I think his motto is something that we should all think about a lot more. If we are kind and polite, the world will be right. Mary and the Witch's Flower. Mary and the Witch's Flower is the first movie from Studio Ponok. Ponok? Whatever, the studio that is headed by former Studio Ghibli employees. It definitely shows that they worked there because the style is unmistakably Ghibli. The story is about a girl that moves to her aunt's, and while there, discovers a flower that gives her magic powers. She also finds a broom that takes her to a magical school where she becomes a bit of a prodigy because of the flower's powers. Flower power. The movie feels very much like a watered-down Spirited Away. I saw it with my friend Hirasashi, and after we left the theater, we both thought the same thing. It's Diet Spirited Away. Since this is an animated film, I would like to delve into this a bit more in a full review someday once I can watch it again. I saw it subtitled in the theater, but I would like to see it dubbed, because it definitely seemed like it was an anime film that was meant to be seen dubbed, because it is based on a Western book, The Little Broomstick. So yeah, when it comes out on Blu-ray, I may visit it again in a future video. So those are all the movies that I haven't talked about yet on the channel that didn't have reviews. Now I'll be focusing on upcoming releases and some other video ideas I have in mind for the channel. If you have seen any of the films I talked about in this video, let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Thank you for watching this video. I hope that the multi-review is a good idea whenever I get behind on movies. I don't want this to be like a very common thing that happens on the channel, but I do have an idea of something that's like a multi-review, but it's more of like a mega review where I review a bunch of stuff from like one thing. So tell me if you're interested in something like that, like not like a multi-review, but more like a mega review, I guess. I was thinking of doing something like that with the Don Bluth movies, for example. So again, thank you for watching, and thank you so much to my patrons. I've got a couple more this month, so thank you again. Your support really helps me a lot, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!